Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of What Do You Need to Know to Live in Costa Rica? Today's topic is why do people leave? All right, so my name is Patrick Jager, joined as always by my good friend and business partner Aaron Bailey. And Aaron, today's topic. Oh, look at the balloons. That was fun.
When you do, that needs to be turned off.
That was awesome. We are not editing that out. That was, no. That's going to make this video.
I think that's a new feature of the next version of Mac OS.
Was funny.
That was
now that you've gotten some balloons, that gives you even more of a reason to subscribe to our channel. You get balloons. And please like this video. Like the balloons, if nothing else. That was freaking funny.
We're keeping this.
Oh my God, what a random thing. And as you can see, we're not even going to edit. This is good.
We don't have time for editing.
We don't have time to edit because we are trying to answer some questions today. Why do people leave Costa Rica?
Why do people leave Costa Rica?
50% of the people that come here, over 50% of the people that come here leave relatively quickly because they just don't connect. And part of the reason we're doing this whole series and why we have our company or Pura Vida is we want to make sure that you've thought through everything or enough that you don't leave, at least not short term. What do you think, Aaron?
Well, I think it's, life is a series of chapters, right? And Costa Rica might not fit into your life plan for the rest of your life. So people come and go. People move from Chicago to Denver to LA to Portland all the time. People move in and out of Costa Rica all the time. So just because you move to Costa Rica, move here, and you move away in a year and a half, 2 years, doesn't mean it's a failure. It just means that you're experiencing a different season of life and you're ready to move somewhere else. And that's fine. But as Patrick said, as a company, we really want to help you to discern, is Costa Rica the right fit for that next chapter, possibly even longer, the next few chapters. And so that's why we're here.
Yeah. And it is amazing. Yeah, it's about the quality of the chapter. This is the best way to look at what we do. Our goal is to get the quality of the chapter as good as it can be. So it might be a short chapter, but we want it to be a doozy. But it is amazing how many people leave because they don't even really want to read the chapter after a while. They're tired of just the crap that comes with living somewhere you're not used to.
And I think that's the point. We don't want you to move to Costa Rica with unrealistic expectations. We want you to truly understand what you're getting yourself into so that you don't make a big move. This isn't vacation 24/7, 365. This is it can be a really nice quality of life in Costa Rica if you have the right expectations going into it. So Patrick, what are some of those expectations? What are some of those things you need to think about before you move?
Yeah, I love what you just said because it really is. We talk a lot about dream versus reality. Everyone had the same thing could happen though when you move to LA or you move to wherever. I think the biggest one is budget. And it's not how much you have. This isn't moving to New York or to Saint-Tropez, but there is have you thought through how you're going to live? Are you on a fixed income? Do you need to live near healthcare? Do you have to keep working? Can you keep working? We talked to a couple today that are young and they're just starting out. And so they don't have a lot. They also don't need a lot. And I'm excited for them to come. I think they're coming with the right mindset, but we have to talk through those budget implications because if your vision and your options don't match, that's going to be a problem. And it ties to my second point, which would be cost of living. I mean, it's not a cheap country to live in. It's not New York. If you're coming from an expensive city, if you're coming from Toronto or Vancouver or Chicago, it is cheaper to live here by quite a bit. If you're coming from Denver or Des Moines or Dallas, just staying in the D's, um, it's more expensive. And part of that is, and we talk about it in all of our videos, it's just because we are a spoke, not a hub. We're a small island of a country, even though we are not an island. That's Puerto Rico. Um, and, so that becomes part of the thing. You have to plan accordingly. When you go out to dinner, it's going to cost you relatively the same at most places as you would pay in the States. Um, Clothes are more expensive. Sunscreen is crazy more expensive. But toothpaste isn't. Soap is not. So it starts to balance out, but you really have to think that through if you're really going to succeed here. A lot of people run out of money.
And I think it's budgeting for some of the unknowns, some of the things that you might not have expected, like the cost of immigration. Whether you get
Yeah.
your visa and are spending some money with the government and an attorney to get your temporary and permanent residency, or whether you're scheduling visa runs every 90 or 180 days, those start to add up, and so you need to make sure that you can afford that once you move here. I think
Great point.
the other thing for me, why people may leave sooner rather than later is they bought too soon. And don't follow my lead on this, because on my second vacation in Costa Rica, my best friend and I just randomly bought a place. It all worked out, but I've seen so many people come from the United States on vacation, randomly buy a place that they think that they're going to be very happy in, and 6 to 9 to 12 months later, they're like, the beach is too hot. It's too humid. We would have rather have purchased somewhere else. And then they try to sell that place and it takes longer to sell.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you got to do your homework. Don't move to Costa Rica and immediately buy a place. Rent a place for a year or 2 years, or rent, every 3 months, move around to a different part of the country until you really truly figure out where you want to be.
Or at least come and do your due diligence. Like, there might be a
Yeah,
reason for you to buy, and that's fine. I bought,
sure.
but I had also spent 6 months of coming back and forth and doing that due
Right.
diligence to your point. Um,
Right.
I'll give you an example. I was originally, if you'll remember, going to buy a hotel property, a Airbnb,
Hmm.
a bed and breakfast property. Beautiful property, ridiculous view, 12 rooms, very nice. Thank God I didn't do that. My impulse was, I
Yeah.
can make this work. But that's the same people as like move to Vermont and decide they're gonna, buy a bed and breakfast, and it just doesn't work out.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Don't make those big purchases right away. Do your research.
Yeah. All right. What else? What are the next things? And I apologize if you can hear a weird ping in the background. They're doing construction next door. Pura vida.
Pura vida, that happens all the time.
Mm,
I think another big one for me is culture shock and
mm,
really truly assimilating into the Costa Rican culture and society. It's hard. It's really hard. Sometimes you can live in that expat bubble, and life is somewhat like the outside your former life, but you're living in a different country, folks. You gotta assimilate. You gotta really embrace Costa Rica and making friends, Tico friends, and truly living in this country is different. And there are days that I would like to pull my hair out, if I had hair, because it's it's hard. I've
it
had
is
some
hard.
down days. I've had some really down days, and I've thought to myself, do I really truly belong here? Or should I move back? But you have to stick with it.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that do move because they don't assimilate and they get in these expat bubbles and they exist everywhere. Um, and then their bubble moves or they get in a fight with someone in their bubble and decide they don't want to do it anymore. But I think you and I both come from the approach. And again, these are our opinions, everybody. So
Absolute
if you don't
opinions.
agree with our opinion, that's great. Our opinion, if I could talk for both of us, is that life is richer by having local friends. And B, if you moved all the way to Costa Rica to stay in a bubble of people like-minded with you, why did you move? Is it just for the sloths? You know, I mean, they're great. Don't get me wrong,
They're not
but
that great.
they're not, right. It's not the reason to move. It's sure as shit not the rain that was the reason you moved, although it's
Right.
gorgeous. So yeah, I agree with you. And something that you and I piggyback on this all the time is language barrier. Yes, in so many places, people speak English and are fine with speaking English. But if you are forced to only speak English,
Yeah.
you're missing so much. You're missing the substance and the flavor while you're here. We recently, Aaron and I were at a conference recently, and I think my favorite meeting we had at the whole conference. Most of it we did in English because it was people from Brazil and the States and all over. So English kind of was it. But we were speaking with one really beautiful woman, just beautiful soul. And she was from another Spanish-speaking country. Her accent was so thick, but it was awesome because we spoke English to her. She spoke Spanish back to us. We understood her. She understood us. And it was like the best time because really, probably for the first time in a true business meeting setting, I was like, we got this. It was great.
We got this. We just now need to have the confidence to speak back in Spanish. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
It's verb tenses
Yes.
are always my problem. But that in
Always
German
the
too
problem.
for me. Always
Yes.
the problem.
Yeah.
All right. What's another one? We're on a roll. Keep it coming.
We are on a roll. I think the other one for me is infrastructure. I've seen so many people like, oh, this country's not, why can't I drive down,
I've got
whatever.
I don't want to live here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not the United States or it's not Canada, folks. The infrastructure is not the same, but settle, it's fine. Pura vida, life goes on. It'll all work itself out. Don't worry about it.
But you really have to know that. I mean, it is the fact that drivers don't have insurance in the same way we do. Like a lot of motorcyclists have zero insurance.
Yeah.
So you have to like, I think with both you and I, because we're OCD in this rate, we have both over prepared from our insurance things because we know it's just, we are going to get in an accident at some point in time. I've gotten in many in the States as well and in Europe. I'm a good driver, but you know what I mean. But like we over prepare because that's one less thing that's going to make us not succeed here.
Yeah. Yep. We're in it. I'm in it for the long haul. I'm in this for years, not for months.
The other thing. Oh, go.
I think the other thing for me is weather. And honestly, like the weather is different than what I expected. Last year in particular, this year has not been so rainy, but last year the rainy season was brutal and gloomy. And I thought going in, moving here that Costa Rica is always sunny. The rainy season can get gloomy. And
they're called rainforests for a reason.
That is true. Yes, that's true. But I thought, do I want to be here? Like, is this really truly the weather that I need? And once you learn to embrace the weather, it's great, but it takes some getting used to.
Yeah, case in point. Workers are at my house right now, and they're at our place, the property next door, and they are here at 6 in the morning until 3 because by 3 it's raining. And then you just embrace it different. I went to a dinner party last night, and we were sitting outside in the rain, but we were under a awning, and it was lovely. But it was also like we were out there also because we couldn't leave because it was raining so hard. But that's like you learn to embrace it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The thing I was going to bring up to you, which I think really ties to kind of the whole thing, like not everyone's insured for cars, is healthcare. A lot of people leave because they don't figure out the healthcare system. Well, there's 3 things to know. And we'll do multiple videos that are just on healthcare, but there's public insurance called the Caja, which once you have a visa, you pay into. There is private insurance, which a lot of people have as augmented to be able to, if especially if you have a big issue. And then there are private hospitals that you can do pay as you go. Um, and it's going to be, for most expats, it's going to be a combination thereof. Even if you have CAHA for some things, there are other things you're like, I don't want to wait because I'll have to wait for a week or two to get in. So I don't want to do that. So I will use my private insurance for that. Or I do dental private and I do CAHA for
Yeah.
physical health care. If you figure it out and you think through it and you think through what are our needs, that shouldn't be a hurdle. It just becomes part and parcel of what you do.
But also, figuring out a healthcare system in the United States, and I don't know about Canada, but is equally confusing. So just realize that, yes, it's Costa Rica. You're going to have to figure it out. You'd have to figure it out in the United States as well.
Totally. I mean, having to go through Medicare with my mom, that was maybe one of the most brutal things I've ever had to go through in my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Let's switch gears a little bit to kind of pace and different values. I mean, would tell us your thoughts on that, because I think that's another area where people just don't get used to it and leave.
Yeah, Tico time. When you say you're going to show up at 6, sometimes people show up at 6:30 or 7, or or they might not show up until 7:30 sometimes.
Well, and
it's
mañana
just a
doesn't
different
mean
pace of
tomorrow. It
life.
means mañana doesn't mean tomorrow. It means sometime in the future. So yeah, Tico time's a thing.
Or it means no. Exactly. Sometimes they'll say,
I've never heard that. That's
let's meet up, but they don't make specific plans, and that means they really don't want to meet up. They don't want to be rude and say no to your face.
That's a good point.
So it's a different culture. It's a slower pace of life, which is why a lot of people move to Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to settle into that and follow their lead and not try to force your set standards on them.
Talk to us a little bit, and I want to be conscious of time too, because I think this is one of our longer videos. So talk to us a little bit about consumerism, or just like the I think a lot of people leave because they don't have Trader Joe's, so they can't be here.
Yeah, you can't place an order on Amazon and get it tomorrow. You can't just run to Target and buy something. There's a lack of consumerism. You can still get a lot of things, and it's still, you'll still be fine. You'll survive. Trust me, I have for many years. But it's not that instant gratification that we get in the United States. Which is a reason why I love living in Costa Rica. I spend far less money than I do in the United States. In Costa Rica, I just don't go to the store and buy like I do in the US.
Me too.
No. Well,
okay.
We'll save that for another video. We'll save that for another video.
I'm nesting still.
We'll do another video of everything Patrick has imported into Costa Rica.
Let's just leave it at that. I'm nesting.
What?
But I agree with you.
Yeah. What about friends and family, Patrick? You don't have your family with you sometimes, or your friends back home.
My husband stays in the States a lot more than I do because of his work, and our son's there. He just graduated college, and my dad and his wife are there, and that is homesickness is a thing, and especially if you're missing people, or if you have kids here and they evolve through a different part of life where it doesn't work for them anymore. So either having or not having family really can change your chapter. One reason, I was originally going to move to New Zealand, and you talk about not having your family. I mean, I'm 3 hours away from stepping foot in the States, and then I can go wherever I need to go. So if I need to, I can get home like that. You can't do that in a lot of other places in the world that expats live. So, but again, to your point, Yes, those are things to think about before you even consider moving here. If you have a little kid, a baby, that's easy. But are you going to feel comfortable with them when they're in high school here? Or
Right.
I have a neighbor that she was homeschooling her daughter because she didn't like the local private school, and now they've moved back to France because the daughter was like, I want to be in school. So
Yeah.
that was their reason. So yeah, you really have to think through those things too. I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids change a lot of things. Thankfully, I don't have any.
But as with everything, all these are solvable if you spend the
Absolutely.
time up front thinking about it and you keep honest about them.
Yes.
It might be, yeah, I've had some days I'm like, why am I here? But then I go home and I'm like, I remember why I'm there. But it's not all sunshine and roses, guys. If you're moving down here, a lot of you that watch this, you're going to move down or you're going to move somewhere and you're going to move back. That is okay. But for us, the more that you think through it, the more that you've given thought, the more that you have wrestled with and looked at how you make it work here, gone through the steps of, from friends or technology or systems or healthcare, the more you actually participate and figure it out, the better your chances that this chapter might be a long and robust one.
And that's why I really love working with the people that we work with at your Pura Vida. Really helping people think through what their life could be like in Costa Rica, giving them a real picture of day-to-day life, helping them navigate some of those challenges to see them truly thrive in Costa Rica. It sounds trite, but it really makes me happy. And to see someone not go through all of those, make all those mistakes that I made, really is gratifying.
Agreed. And, we're both a year plus 2 years into this. There's nothing that says our chapter won't be 5 years.
That's right.
We're not planning on that, but I think that's the way to approach living abroad. It doesn't have to be forever. Planes work both ways, right?
That's right.
So here's the thing. If you are at a place that you're really considering this, and these are the things that keep you up at night, which they should, you're making a big decision, reach out to us. We are here for you. Ola@yourpuravida.com, or on our website, there are several links and places to say connect with us and schedule a meeting. Or you can look through all the things we have on our site, our blogs, our YouTubes at yourpuravida.com/links. We truly want to be your partners because we want people that we can have as neighbors and friends here for a long time. And we hope that's you.
Absolutely.
So until we meet again, as always, Aaron, what do we say?
We say Pura Vida.